The United States makes up a massive 20% of the global economy. It's the world's richest market and Canada's biggest trading partner.
Today on Trade Talk, what you need to know about doing business in the U.S. What are the risks and how can you protect against them to seize opportunities south of the border?
Melanie, you work with many companies that are at the beginning of their exporting journey. When talking with these companies that haven't done business yet in the U.S., what quickly becomes the focus of the discussion?
That there's no one single U.S. market. There's the Northeast U.S. market and the Southeast market, and then there's the Midwest. So what is really important is that you need to do specific research on the region that you're targeting. I was talking to a company the other day who does a lot of business in the state of New York. They found that they had to change their approach quite a bit to be able to seize an opportunity that they had in Texas.
I was actually talking to Jason Myers, President and CEO of the Canadian Manufacturers and Exporters, and he was very upfront about the opportunities of doing business in the U.S., but also the risks. He actually mentioned that he sees the U.S. as one of the highest risk markets in the world. Let's watch a clip of your interview.
The U.S. market is one of the highest risk markets in the world, and you know, particularly, I think this is the lesson that EDC brings, just simply because of the nature of the export insurance game. This is a very high-risk market, but it's one that Canadian companies have traditionally managed very well, and it's often the Canadian company that has to take on the risk management, whether that's currency risk, because most of our exports in the United States will be priced in US dollars, or whether it's managing the border, because that's usually the expectation that it's going to be the Canadian company that manages all of the risk of moving product and people across the border, or whether it's financial risk in dealing with customers and with customer financing, with product liability insurance in the United States and so forth. So knowing what those risks are, being able to manage them well, and that's where I think an organization like EDC is so important as a business partner.
Jason Myers talked about some specific risks like currency exchange and financial risks. Banks have tools to help exporters in those areas, such as foreign exchange facilities, which make cash flows more predictable, even when the exchange rate shifts.
Absolutely. And to manage the bank's collateral requirements for these facilities, EDC offers a foreign exchange guarantee, allowing exporters to manage the FX risk without tying up their working capital.
Right. And for financial risks, there are products like receivables insurance. I know in the U.S. it's much easier for companies to file for bankruptcy protection, which create risks for Canadian firms. Our insurance typically covers 90% of a loss receivable.
To first get started working in the U.S., Jason Myers suggested trying to get integrated into the supply chains or procurement systems of U.S. companies. Another strategy that we talked about is to partner with U.S. firms or with Canadian companies already doing business down there. This can really help with market entry.
So here are the takeaways. If you're going to export to the U.S., do your research and don't think of it as one big homogeneous market. Understand your customers and their customers, as well as what your specific regional market needs and expects.
Partner where you can, get integrated into the supply chains, and use available tools to protect against risk.
The U.S. is not only a big and important market on its own, but it's also the gateway to international markets because there are a lot of global companies doing business there. The opportunities are massive.
So be prepared and focus so you can reap the rewards of doing business in the U.S.
You can find more information about exporting to the U.S. at edc.ca. Stay tuned for our next Trade Talk, where we'll discuss the ABCs of international contracts.
Until then, keep talking trade.